Hi, it's Jonathan from Build Your Own Aquaponics. Welcome into this video. Today we're going to talk about the media, how to choose the good media for your aquaponics setup. So thank you again for watching this video. Today we're going to really talk about the best media for your setup. This is the place where you're going to have all your bacteria. And the bacteria has a filtration from the pollution generated by the fish, the ammonia. They're going to transform it in nitrate and nitrate. And the nitrate is the food for the plant. So where the magic comes from is into the grow bed, really on the media. And you know that the limit of an aquaponic setup is really this area, right? If you don't have the good size grow bed, you are limited in terms of quantity of fish you can have into your setup, right? The bigger the grow bed and the more bacteria you have and the more fish you will be able to have, and obviously it's going to produce more nitrate for the vegetables. So really the magic of the aquaponics is really the grow bed, it's really the media. Now, you're going to choose what kind of media you're going to use, right? There are different possibilities, and depending where you live, you may be able to have access to a specific kind of media, and you really have to choose between the different options that you can have. So there are different things to take into account. Obviously, the price is one of them. You know that the price of the media can be extremely expensive to extremely cheap. So obviously, always go for the cheap one as long as it makes the job. And then there are other things. So when we talk about media, we talk about the surface available for the bacteria to live on, right? So today, I live in Melbourne in Australia. So here we have access to a volcanic rock that we call scoria, but it doesn't really matter how we call it. Some people call it pozzolan in Europe, or basically that's a volcanic rock that is extremely porous. And here, that's the best media that I found. So here I got a big rock, but the one I use into my setup is mostly 7mm grade. So it's quite small gravels, and that's really the best size for aquaponics. Then it depends on the kind of vegetables you're going to grow, but 7mm is quite a good grade for aquaponics. So here I got this scoria, and what is very famous in aquaponics is also those kind of clay balls, right? So the expanse clay. So the clay is quite good actually, but it's porous as well, but it's very, very expensive. So this clay costs 10 times the price of this volcanic rock. That's why I really recommend the volcanic rock. And I think the volcanic rock is even more efficient because it's more porous even than the clay. So now let me explain you why we have to look for something very porous. So a lot of people are starting aquaponics with gravels. So again, you know, you can do whatever you want, but if you want something very efficient, you are not going to take gravel, because gravels, they are very smooth. So the surface area of one gravel is very limited, right? Because it's smooth. Now, if you look at this volcanic rock, it's made of, it's full of holes. There are plenty of tiny, tiny holes inside the rock. So obviously, all those holes, they increase the surface area of the rock. If you take the same size gravel as this one has maybe 10 times more surface area than a gravel, which means that you got 10 times more surface for the bacteria to live on, because you got caves. Basically, it's like if you had caves inside these rocks. So all those caves, there are some bacteria inside. On the gravel, you don't have caves. So the bacteria, they are just living on the surface of the gravel, which is very limited. So this kind of volcanic rock is maybe 10 times more efficient than the gravel. So in aquaponics we found that it's not 10 times, but at least twice more efficient, if not four times more efficient. So definitely go for a very, very porous media. So again, this is quite efficient as well, the clay balls. The only problem of the clay balls is really the price, right? So if you have access to this kind of material where you live, a volcanic rock, that's definitely what you need to take. So now, there are other things that you need to take in account. You don't want the media, you don't want this media to affect the pH of your water, right? And you don't want it to have any metals inside as well, because you know that metals, they don't really go well with fish. You know, fish are very sensitive to the level of metals you can have into your water. For example, copper is really bad for the fish. So basically, try to take a rock without metals and take a rock that is not having any reaction with the pH. So any limestone, forget it straight away. And the best way to check it is to take a bowl of vinegar and you put your media inside, or the media that you want to test. If you see some bubbles, it means that the vinegar is reacting with the limestone. In this case, it's not a good thing to have. It's not a good media for you. So really, test it before putting it into the grow bed, but that's quite a big job to buy this, to find the media and to put it into the grow bed. So before doing all this work, make sure you got the good one, test it with vinegar. So if you put your media into the vinegar and you don't see any bubbles, it means that there is no interaction with the hydrogen, with the pH, and therefore you can use this media for your aquaponics setup. So the first thing, you don't want to have any interaction with the water, with the pH, sorry. You don't want to have any metals into the stone. So it's very rare that you have some metals, but it can happen. And obviously the price and the surface area. You want it to be very, very porous, right? So once you find the good media, try to find the good grade. So I told you 7 millimeters rocks. I think it's quite a good range. I know that, for example, for the clay balls, it's most of the time is 10, 13 millimeters. But I would really, really advise you to take 7 millimeters, because then the smaller they are and the more surface area again that you have. And the space between the rocks also is smaller. So you don't have, if you got big space between the rocks, sometimes when you put seeds into your setup, if you grow your veggies from seeds, they may move between the rocks when the water is going up and down, and so you don't have the same quality or the same success than with a 7 millimeters. So 7 millimeters, again, that's this kind of size. It's quite small. When you got a lot of rocks, if you got a seed in between, the seed is kind of stuck and they can't move. They don't move, so then they can develop nice roots, and you got a nice success of seed production, of seedlings production. I think this is it. Yeah, it's quite simple. You really need to find very porous media. The most porous, the better. Oh, another thing, yeah, the weight of the media as well is quite important. If it's a very, very heavy media, it's gonna have an impact on your aquaponics setup. You need to have an aquaponics setup strong enough to support the weight of the media plus the water, right? But most of the time, if you take a very porous media, it's not so heavy, right? For example, this one, the volcanic rock, is no more heavy than the balls, the pear balls, or slightly more, but not much more. So it doesn't make a big difference, right? But the people who take gravels are quite heavy. But again, gravel is not a good option at all, right? If you take gravel, you are not going to be able to stock a lot of fish. Your system is not going to be super efficient. For the same system, if you put this kind of thing, this kind of volcanic rock, very porous, instead of gravel, you're going to definitely improve and increase the efficiency of the system. So yeah, that's how I select the media. That's the best way to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a lot of things. I think it's very important, if you want to start your aquaponics setup, that you select the good media, because that's a big job. You do it once, so do it well. take your time to find the good media, and once you got it, do it properly. Put it in place, 7 millimeters, porous, into your setup. You cycle the way I showed you before, with introducing a bit of fish food without the fish at the beginning, and then you're going to have all your bacteria that are going to be present on this very porous material, and then you are ready to go. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it. You can subscribe to the channel. You can share the video, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave the comments. I really enjoy reading you, and it really brings a lot of new inspiration for the continuity of this channel and for other people who are looking at this channel. So thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye bye.